The battlefield of Kurukshetra shimmered beneath a pale morning sun. A slow wind carried dust and the faint metallic scent of war, but within the golden chariot of Arjuna and Krishna, there was a stillness, a silence deeper than the cry of armies. Arjuna, his bow lowered, looked upon the horizon where flags of every color waved like trembling flames. His mind swirled with thoughts of duty, of destiny, of confusion that gnawed at the soul. He turned to Krishna, who stood beside him radiant as dawn, his blue form glowing softly in the golden light, as deep as the ocean. "Krishna," Arjuna began, his voice heavy but steady, "you speak of action, of wisdom, of duty, yet you say you taught these truths long before. How can that be? You and I were born in this age. How could you have spoken to others who lived countless years before us?" The chariot creaked as a gust of wind swept through, fluttering the silk banners above. Krishna smiled, a faint curve that seemed to hold the entire mystery of time. "Arjuna," he said gently, "you and I have passed through many births. You have forgotten them, but I remember them all." Arjuna's eyes widened, not in disbelief, but awe. "All of them," he whispered. Krishna's gaze drifted toward the horizon where the sun rose like fire from the mist. "Yes," he said, "for I am not bound as you are bound. Whenever righteousness declines and darkness rises, I manifest, again and again, to restore balance, to guide those who have lost their way." His voice deepened like rolling thunder over distant hills. "I taught this eternal wisdom first to the sun god, Vivaswan, who passed it to Manu, and Manu to Ikshvaku. Thus, it was handed down through time, through kings and sages, yet, in the turning of ages, this knowledge was lost. That is why I reveal it again to you now." The air trembled around them, and for a moment Arjuna felt as though the earth itself bowed before the divine truth. He saw Krishna not as his friend, not as a charioteer, but as something infinite, beyond life, beyond time. Arjuna's heart thudded. "Then who are you, truly?" he whispered. "Are you the Lord who walks among men?" Krishna looked upon him with eyes of infinite calm. "I am the unborn, the deathless, the ruler of all beings," he said. "Though I appear to take form, I am untouched by birth and death. My power moves through all, I act through the ages, yet I remain beyond action." And as his words fell like sacred rain upon the dust of the world, Arjuna felt the first glimmer of understanding awaken in his soul. The chariot wheels creaked softly as they stood still amid the field. The air was warm, thick with waiting. Krishna's form shimmered as if the sun itself had chosen him as its vessel. "When darkness grows," Krishna said, his voice steady, echoing across unseen centuries, "when truth fades and the world forgets what is right, I descend. I come not to destroy, but to renew. To protect the good, to uphold righteousness, to awaken faith in those who have forgotten the divine within themselves." Arjuna watched him, his heart pounding like a drum within his chest. There was power in Krishna's words, not just sound, but force, as if the cosmos breathed through every syllable. "But tell me," Arjuna asked, his tone soft, his eyes seeking clarity through wonder, "how does one truly live in the world, Krishna? You speak of dharma, of doing one's duty. Yet I see those who act and fall into sin. Even noble men are stained by desire. How is a man to act rightly in such a world?" Krishna turned toward him, the sunlight forming a halo around his form. "Arjuna," he said, "one who acts without attachment, who works not for reward but for the sake of the divine, that one is free. The bondage of karma does not cling to him." The words sunk deep into Arjuna's heart, though their meaning still shimmered just beyond reach. "To act without desire," he murmured, "to labor and yet seek nothing." Krishna nodded. "Yes. To act, but surrender the fruits of action. To give up ownership, not effort. The wise do not flee from duty, they perform it as an offering." The wind swept through the field again, carrying a whisper that seemed to echo from ages past, the same truth spoken to kings and seers before him. Arjuna felt a fire rising within, not of anger, but of awakening. Something sacred stirred in his soul, the first light of understanding that would burn through confusion. Hours passed in silence, though no battle yet began. Arjuna gazed at the endless expanse of warriors waiting for his signal, and the weight of action pressed down like a mountain on his chest. Krishna, he said finally, you speak of action that does not bind, of working without desire. Yet how can one act without purpose? Every act, every arrow loosed, carries consequence. Krishna's smile was gentle, knowing. The secret lies not in abandoning action, Arjuna, but in purifying intention. When one acts for self, karma binds him like chains. When one acts for the divine, karma burns away like mist in sunlight. He raised his hand, and the chariot's golden reins glowed faintly. This is Nishkama Karma, action without selfish desire. When you perform your duty as an offering to me, without attachment to outcome, you are free, even as you act. The words flowed through Arjuna like lightning and water at once. So freedom lies not in escape, but in surrender, he whispered. Krishna's eyes gleamed with warmth. Yes, Arjuna. The one who sees that the Lord alone is the doer, that all acts are moved by divine will, that one is liberated, though he stands in the midst of battle. A silence fell again, deep as eternity. The golden chariot seemed to hover between heaven and earth, between illusion and truth. And in that silence, Arjuna felt the truth beating in his heart, that to act without ego is to become one with the divine itself. The sun had begun to tilt westward, staining the battlefield in crimson and gold. The air grew heavy, but within that golden stillness, Krishna's words glowed like fire in the dusk. Arjuna, he said softly, this knowledge of right action, of detachment, is ancient, yet ever new. It purifies like flame, burning away ignorance and desire. None who seek it with faith remain impure. Arjuna's eyes lifted to Krishna's face, lit by the dying sun. Then tell me, he said quietly, how does one know when he acts rightly? How can a man be sure that his deed is pure, that it is not shadowed by desire? Krishna's gaze was like the calm of infinite skies. The man of wisdom knows that the true doer is not he, but the divine within him. He acts as an instrument, steady, unmoved by praise or blame. When a man acts thus, knowledge itself becomes his purifier. He paused, then added with quiet force, ignorant men act bound by desire. The wise act in freedom, offering all actions to the Lord. They see the same in all, sacrifice, giver, and receiver, all united in one essence. Arjuna lowered his head, the golden crown upon his brow catching a beam of dying light. Then the fire of knowledge burns the chains of karma, he murmured. Yes, Krishna said. As fire turns wood to ash, so knowledge turns all actions to purity. He who knows this truth, Arjuna, is free, even in the midst of battle. And as Krishna spoke, the wind carried his words across the field, as though the very air bore witness to divine truth once more returned to earth. The sun dipped low, painting the world in red and umber. Arjuna stood within the chariot, silent, his mind trembling between revelation and resolve. Krishna's voice came gentle, yet filled with command. Arjuna, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever austerity you perform, do it as an offering unto me. Then your heart shall be free. Arjuna lifted his gaze slowly. To do all things as an offering, he said, to surrender all acts, even war. Krishna nodded. Yes, even war. For when you see me in all things, and all things in me, no act is profane. The wise see that the divine dwells in every being, they harm none, even when they strike in duty's name. A golden wind rose, stirring dust into soft spirals around the chariot. Krishna's form shimmered through it, not entirely of this world, yet nearer than breath. Work, Arjuna, but without the fever of ownership, he continued. Perform action, yet remain detached. Offer every act into the fire of devotion, and you shall be untouched by its smoke. Arjuna breathed deeply, the air sharp, heavy, alive. Then it is not the act that binds, he whispered, but the desire behind it. Krishna's smile deepened. Yes. Let your actions be born of duty, not craving. Let them flow as naturally as the river to the sea. When you act thus, without expectation, your soul becomes still, and peace follows like a shadow that never leaves. The wind quieted. A strange calm fell, like twilight between two worlds. And Arjuna felt, for the first time, that stillness within himself, the calm eye of a storm that could never be shaken. Night crept softly across the plain, and the moon rose pale and vast over Kurukshetra. Torches flickered in the distance, and the air was filled with the murmuring of men awaiting dawn, yet within the chariot, there was only the quiet glow of divinity. Krishna stood tall, the golden reins loose in his hand. His eyes reflected starlight, deep and endless. "Arjuna," he said, "the truth is this, the Lord is the source of all actions, yet he acts not. The whole world is moved by his power, yet he remains untouched, unbound." Arjuna watched him, silent, humbled. "When you act, knowing this," Krishna continued, "you too become free. You do not say, 'I am the doer.' You act because it is your dharma, your path, your offering. In this freedom, there is no guilt, no pride, no fear." A breeze whispered through the silence. The horses stirred gently. Arjuna bowed his head. "Then the one who understands this," he said slowly, "sees that all action is divine play, and he himself is only a part of the whole." Krishna's eyes shone with approval. "Yes, Arjuna. When knowledge destroys ignorance, when wisdom lights the heart, the world itself changes. The wise see action in inaction, and inaction in action. They are never bound by what they do, for their every breath is surrendered to me." A faint smile touched Arjuna's lips, and for the first time, he felt no weight in his hands, no tremor in his heart. The battlefield lay before him, still, vast, awaiting the dawn. But within him, a new light had risen. He turned to Krishna, his friend, his guide, his Lord. "Then let me act, O Krishna," he said, "not for victory, not for pride, but as an offering to you." Krishna's gaze softened, and in that moment, the chariot glowed as though touched by heaven itself. And as the night deepened, the wind carried the echo of divine truth across the sleeping world that the highest act is one done in surrender. And the purest freedom is born not from escape, but from devotion.